I'm on a mission to make Destiny's Forgotten exotics usable, and today I'm using Oathkeepers. Oathkeepers are a hunter exotic that allows your bow's draw to be held indefinitely, with bonus damage added depending on how long you hold it. Sounds like a lot of fun, and it is, but there are some serious drawbacks to this exotic. Okay. Here's the rundown. The extra damage from holding your draw affects only the initial impact of the arrow, so the Monarch's poison isn't affected. Wishender's extra piercing damage isn't affected. Verglass Curve's stasis crystals aren't affected, and neither Incandescent's explosion or scorch damage are affected. Truly, it is just the initial arrow. Oh, and just so we're clear, it doesn't work at all with Leviathan's Breath. Okay, Bungie, we get it. You're afraid of the raw testosterone of the bike chain drawstring. Good.
You should be.
So in that one paragraph, I've pretty much eliminated 90% of the fun of this exotic, but there are some other bows that could be good. So let's start with my first thought, Wishkeeper. Wishkeeper, not Ender, is the suspend bow. Land headshots and get takedowns to charge it up, then hipfire to launch a suspension web that acts like a tripwire. Oathkeepers gives damage and wants you to hold your draw for a couple of seconds to achieve that damage. Wishkeeper gives the ability to suspend and deals bonus damage to suspended targets. The suspension should give the time needed to get the bonus damage from Oathkeepers, and the extra oomph to suspended targets should stack nicely with that draw damage. All that's left is to throw a few suspension bonuses on and head into a lost sector to see how good it is. A few minutes into the lost sector and, how should I put this? It functions. All the pieces work together to make something coherent. That's the nicest thing I can say about this. Look, part of the reason is I'm just not a bow fan. The hold, release on the trigger just isn't comfortable for me. I can't really explain why. It's just one of my many anomalies. On top of that, there's just no ad clear here. You're hitting one enemy at a time, and it's just really slow. The damage is okay, but I still found myself switching to my heavy for champions, so what's the point? What I did learn from this was that Oathkeepers is really helpful at taking a multi-shot takedown against red bars, and with just a little charge, turning it into a one-shot takedown. Doesn't this thing sound like a wet slap?
I'll take care of this. Calm down. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Doctor, you're one on the phone.
Then it hit me. What bow would benefit the most from having an easier time getting a takedown and solve my ad clear problem? There is a correct answer here, and it's Trinity Ghoul. Trinity Ghoul is the closest thing to Zalo Supercell we're probably going to get in Destiny 2. Trinity Ghoul gets charged from headshot takedowns, and once charged, your next shot chains lightning. Now, that sounds good, but not fantastic. And yes, I agree, it's quite annoying, but what takes this exotic to new heights is its catalyst. The catalyst allows any arc kill to charge the bow, meaning that not only will Trinity Ghoul charge itself through its base arrows, regardless of if it was a headshot or not, but the chain lightning from its own charged arrows will charge itself again, not to mention any arc abilities you may have. Trinity Ghoul is one of the best weapons in the game, so giving it more damage with Oathkeepers just shreds everything. The chain lightning doesn't get more damage through Oathkeepers, but the triple arrows do. Don't ask me why the triple arrows do, and things like Wishender's pierce arrows don't. I don't know. But of course the exotic and weapon pairing is only the first part, the rest being the subclass and mods. Let's do this quickly. Prismatic, Tether for the extra bow and arrow theme, Smoke Bombs for weaken, Duskfield for slow and darkness energy, Stylish for invis, Shroud for extra slow and class ability regen, and finally for fragments, Hope, Balance, Awakening, Protection, and Solitude. Standard setup for cooldowns, damage resist, and Solitude with Trinity Ghoul is quite good. Since it fires 3 arrows, you can get a Sever Explosion with a single headshot. Mods are as simple as ever. Siphons, loaders, surges, time dilation, 100 resilience. The only other thing that really matters is shock and awe from the artifact. It's not required, it's not like when it's gone next season this setup will completely fall apart, but it's here, it's free, so why not? Okay, now how does it play? Well, as I said, I'm typically not a bow guy, but I will admit, this was quite fun. Getting Trinity Ghoul going is super easy, and once it is going, it's just a matter of walking around, bow drawn, shooting everything you see. The extra damage from Oathkeepers is really good at securing a kill with the Ghoul, which of course keeps the literal and figurative chain going. Switching from Wishkeeper to the Ghoul felt like a night and day difference. I went from struggling to take on multiple enemies to electrocuting everything in the room near instantly. I still wouldn't rely on the heavy shots to deal damage to champions, and I certainly wouldn't concern myself with trying to max out the draw damage every time. Just play normally, walk around, bow drawn, shooting whatever you see. You might shoot an enemy and the chain lightning might clear everything out, then just draw another arrow and walk around looking for the next group. The longer it takes to find another group, the more damage that arrow will do. It's a satisfying loadout, and one that I think really takes good advantage of the exotics here. Like I said, Oathkeepers is really good at giving you just a bit more damage to get the one shot even in tougher content. It's still a slower paced playstyle, and most of the abilities I've taken here are mainly to give myself some extra space to keep the opposition at bay. Dust fields and dodge to slow and freeze, smoke bombs to disorient and weaken, and tether for groups and tougher bosses. This entire setup hinges on the armor and weapon. It's very self-contained, so realistically, you could use any subclass you want, with any abilities you want, and this loadout would still function just as well. But with this specific setup, I've tried to think of many different applications. Nightfalls, raids, dungeons, seasonal activities, you name it, this should work. Tether is always a great team play option, Trinity Ghoul obviously obliterates adds, and slow and freeze from the dodge and dust field work well against overload and unstoppable champions respectively. You can pair any weapons with this, you can swap out abilities and aspects, and you can freely change mods to fit whatever activity you're doing or just for personal preference. The setup largely remains the same despite any changes, meaning this playstyle can in theory fit any activity very well. So give this exotic a try, and I'm sure you'll find a fun and powerful setup that you'll fall in love with. Don't keep it to yourself though, let's talk about Oathkeepers down in the comments. Have you used this exotic? If so, how do you like to run it? Until next time.